Reclaiming Timeless Ways. Mike Traster, Simon Fuller, glad to have you along with us for another episode. And we hope we can bring something, another tool to put in your tool belt or tool chest with today's episode of
Tiredness versus energy.
Right, a little yawn, a little nod, a little bob. Maybe you're watching this in bed right now, ready to bob off and fall asleep.
I don't know if I have the energy to watch this one.
Right.
Or do it. So the first thing is sleep. Do you sleep? Do you have a schedule? Without a schedule, our sleep becomes more unstable.
It even tells me that on my phone, Mike.
Okay.
It asked me one day.
Right.
I was setting my alarm. Everything's getting smarter, so therefore I can get dumber. But it told me, it suggested to me that you set an alarm to go to bed, not just to wake up.
Yeah.
And just an interesting concept, and I wasn't overly alarmed because if there's one thing I feel like I do relatively well, it's sleep solid throughout a night. And I'm amazed at how many people in the recent last year or two
right.
that talk to me about their sleep patterns, and I'm just like, really? Bopping awake, this and that and that, and gets them up, that gets them up. I mean, some people 3-4 times throughout their night's sleep are getting disturbed and having to go back to sleep. For me, a tornado can be existing, and I'm not waking up.
That's great.
And I guess I didn't realize how maybe uncommon that is, and that does affect a person dramatically.
Absolutely.
My wife being one of them, who does not have the greatest sleep patterns.
Yeah, we become less useful to ourselves, less focused, less happy.
Yeah.
Less productive, less enjoyable to be around. When we have intermittent sleep and we don't have enough REM stage sleep where we dream and kind of, I don't know, it's almost like cleaning out the garbage,
And I haven't dug into it, but it makes me wonder, is it what, or if there's one common or just several causes that, depending on the person, is like sleep apnea just a thing nowadays? Is it something that we should be getting sleep tested? I just always wonder that for these folks that I run into, what is the answer for better, higher quality sleep? Like you say, a longer REM sleep.
I mean, some people just, the structure of their throat is too relaxed, and so they can kind of close off when they're sleeping. Right. Weight is a contributor to that. Okay. Posture is a contributor to that. Alcohol or other sedating substances, so if you take sleep medication, it might make apnea worse. Okay, because that whole structure back here with the uvula and just the throat can tend to just kind of flop closed.
Right.
So then there's periods of non-breathing. Right. And they can be 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, and then the person will wake up like gasping,
right.
And when they change their posture, they breathe again, but their heart is pounding, and it screws up their REM stage sleep, and it makes them anxious, and then they're not rested.
Right.
So that would be somebody I think the big tell is huge, like the train coming through the station snoring. That's an indication that maybe you should have sleep study done. Okay. Or if you're just exhausted all the time.
Yeah, I just wondered what the main contributing factors were, because I'm, like I say, ironically, this topic, I've run into more of that in the small circle I have of people that struggle, and I'm like, so what's going on?
And there's all different kinds of machines that keep positive pressure in the airway to keep the airway open, like a BiPAP and a CPAP, and I haven't read about them in a long time, but they basically can program the machine to use the proper amount of pressure for the individual. So It's a gentle pressure, but it tends to keep the airway open. So the frequency and the severity of those episodes is dramatically reduced. Okay. And you become healthier. You're also less prone to hypertension.
Right.
Okay? And hypertension is bad for your heart. It's bad for your kidneys. And it's just not good for anything in your body,
Interesting.
So light, ambient light. Ambient means what's around you. So if you got a little bunch of these little safety lights in the wall, or you got an alarm clock, and it glows in the dark, those are distracting, and they can interrupt your deep dream sleep, and so you become less restored. Your sleep is less restorative because some people can deal with that better than others. Some people wear a little mask, and that kind of gets so that you can always get up and pull your mask off. It's just a little thin piece of cloth with like a shoestring, right? So that now you still have the safety factor of the clock or the little safety light on the
Sure.
wall, but it's blocked.
Right.
And it only takes 1 second to pull that
Get it
off.
up, right.
So thyroid, if you have a hypothyroid, hypo meaning less than or below, that's going to affect your level of energy tremendously for some people. You might see a lot of weight gain, stuff like that. B12 helps transport oxygen, right? And so if you don't absorb B12 properly, and people after the age of 60 don't have enough intrinsic factor in their gut, so they don't absorb it. It just goes in the mouth and out the back end. And the way to fix that is just to take a B complex and crush it and put it under your tongue. You'll absorb it sublingually under the tongue, like I was speaking earlier. Cardio, if you do a little cardio, you have better oxygenation to your heart, your lungs, and your brain.
Right.
So you're more alert.
Right.
You're less tired.
Right.
People that aren't moving enough feel depressed because their brain is less oxygenated. They're like, why do I feel like shit? Well, because you're sitting. Get up. Walk around the building. Go get your mail and come back.
I've got a good buddy I just want to bring on right now as a guest.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm teasing. I'm going to make sure he watches this show.
Oh, yeah.
Love him to death, but I mean, what you're saying are some pretty common sense, simple ways to
Right.
be better. I mean,
Right.
nothing you're doing or talking about, sure, if you get a supplement or two, maybe there's an investment, but nothing really you can do a lot without spending money here to improve yourself.
Yeah.
Your sleep, your overall energy levels, your
Right.
your life.
Right. So you wear a mask, have less ambient light around you, reduce the number and severity of sources of noise around you.
Yeah.
So if you have a dog that's barking all night, you have to discipline it. That doesn't mean beat the crap out of the dog, but you have to tell it no, and it has to listen.
Right. And some do well being like in a kennel or something where they feel safer.
Calm down.
Yeah.
Maybe even have something dark, like a dark blanket over
Top of
right.
it. Oftentimes it's their protective nature, and it's in relation to what's going on in the neighborhood. A car honks, drives by.
Right. Their shepherding instinct.
Right, to protect
Right.
when they're in their safe space with the blanket. They're not in that high alert mode. Yeah.
Some people, so deep breathing, like deep diaphragmatic breathing, which basically when you watch a baby breathe, you say, oh, I don't want to look like that, because when the baby breathes, his gut sticks out. We all think about walking around posing at the beach without a shirt on, but that's
Those days are gone for me, Mike. I don't know about you.
long
but
gone. Long gone. So I have this massive wall of extra abdominal muscle.
I did see a meme, not to get us completely off track, but humor's good. And it was a guy with a big old gut, and it was talking about in this particular culture and country, I forget which one, that is desirable. I thought, so most of us men here are working towards, we need to kind of shape our culture to follow this particular country, because we're working on that, and we'd be much more desirable.
You're much closer to the goal than I am. I had a friend once, he asked me, how many sit-ups do you do? And I was 30. And I said, well, 400 is like a very basic minimum, and I go much higher than that. And he called me a liar. So I made him open up a little metal folding chair and count, and I got to 640.
Jeez.
Oh, my tailbone hurt. The rest of me was fine because I was so strong, but the tailbone hurt terribly because I was on a hard floor.
Right.
And but that was my max. But it's like anything else. That's one of the things, no matter how, if you can learn to bench press 500 pounds, which is not healthy for most human beings, but if you did it, if you don't stay with it, you lose it.
Right.
After about the fourth day, you start getting weaker. Amazing, right? So naps, some people need naps.
Yeah.
you know, and if you need one, take one. You know?
And everybody is different. It's funny because my wife is a napper.
Yeah, me
I
too.
never have been. It probably is because I sleep solid through the night.
Right.
She doesn't. So she picks up with the naps, and she says, I'm tired when people say I'm, lazy or this, that, or the other
No,
with
it's
relation
you.
to naps. No, if your body needs it,
Right.
if you're tired, your body's telling you something.
Right.
Yeah.
When a baby is tired, it's grumpy. When an adult with 3 PhDs is tired, they're grumpy.
They're grumpy.
Period. End of book. Right? So there's herbs that help with sleep. One of them is passiflora. Another one is valerian, which is also called valeriana officinale. But the thing is, these things can interact with medicines. And they can do something called potentiation. So if you take this and it has a sleep value of 2, or a sedating value of 2, and then you take something else and it also has a sedating value of 2. 2 and 2 doesn't necessarily equal 4, it might equal 8. That's called potentiation, which means you go talk to your pharmacist.
Yeah.
And you say,
Know what you're putting in your body.
absolutely, because they combine and they have more than an arithmetic total value. So, a sleep med plus valerian might be dangerous.
Yeah, this show is just giving you ideas to go research for your world. This is not a prescription show.
No, it is not. It is not. It's definitely not. I'll say, look, these are things you can ask your pharmacist about.
Yeah.
Pharmacists know more about medicines than doctors do.
Yeah.
That's their area of
Expertise, yeah.
Right. So, neck posture. If your neck is out of place, you're not going to be alert. Some people have carotid artery obstruction, and they need to have an endarterectomy, which means they get it kind of cleaned out. Too much exercise can make you exhausted, right? So again, find that middle ground, right? And I think I probably mentioned this a few times. The Hindus use the example of the guitar, the sitar. You turn the string too loose, no music. You turn it too tight, the string snaps.
Right.
So in the middle is music,
Right.
and that's it.
All right, very good. Well, appreciate your information, Mike. I think, again, a show that most of us can relate to in one way, shape, or form, and hopefully it helps you and or somebody you know. Make sure you share the video. Take this, share this link out in your various social medias, and of course, we encourage you and your friends to subscribe to the YouTube channel for more upcoming shows and information like this. For Reclaiming Timeless Ways, Mike and Simon saying, have a great day.
Take care. I can sleep now.